As you all know, Donald Trump has been ramping up his war on fake news. Most recently, he's been going after ABC and NBC, trying to take away their broadcasting license from the FCC because he says they're essentially an arm of the Democrat Party, which they really are. Regardless of how that turns out, I wanted to share with you just how bad our media is. Now, I know most of you know, but we have some really recent examples because of the shooting on the ICE detainment facility, and this gives us a great opportunity to look at how this is being covered. Right now, we have CNN and MSNBC doing round-the-clock work trying to cover for the shooter so that this shooter cannot be identified as a left-wing liberal, which everyone knows that this person is a left-wing liberal. We already have the writing on the casing, which says anti-ICE. We already have their own writings, but they're doing their best. So I'm going to show you two clips, one from CNN where they're trying to cover for it, and one from MSNBC in which they're literally going to share information which is going to solidify that this individual was radicalized by the left and left-wing ideologies. And after they do that, they're going to try to pull back from that and say, well, we don't know what he is. We can't tell where this person stands. And they're going to spend so much time trying to share information that this guy is not political, that he had no political bent. First, check out the CNN clip.
I just want to play one thing for you, Julia, just because some of the things you're saying about motivation and the questions people have. J.D. Vance, the vice president, is out there talking about what he thinks the potential motivations are. And I want to dissect this with you because obviously it's the vice president.
In Dallas, Texas, an ICE facility, an Immigrations and Customs Enforcement facility, was opened fire upon by a violent left-wing extremist, a person who wrote anti-ICE messaging on their bullets. And there's some evidence that we have that's not yet public, but we know this person was politically motivated. They were politically motivated to go after law enforcement.
I'm playing that for you because he says it's information that's not yet public. And what are you going to be listening for in the coming days?
That's exactly right. So it's a very nuanced distinction. Someone can perform something that is politically motivated, in this case, unjustifiably, targeting an ICE facility, but not be aligned with a political movement. If the White House and J.D. Vance, they seem to suggest that there's evidence that he's part of a network of left groups that are promoting violence as compared to progressives, right-wing, conservatives, and left-wing groups opposing some of ISIS actions. And that's the link which we have to be super careful about in a democracy. Someone can have criticism of the White House and certainly of ISIS actions, as many of us do, but that doesn't lead necessarily to violence. In this instance, it did. But to blame the group is a leap that we haven't seen yet. At least in this case, we also haven't seen it in the Charlie Kirk assassination place. We have radicalization going on in this country, aligned with a political sentiment. But these guys are not in the world of politics. They're in a different world that you and we're not even in this world of gaming and memes and irony. And we need to figure out, why are they becoming radicalized for violence? Because at least what we know so far, it's not aligned with a political group.
How pathetic is this analysis? These people, they're just in a different world than you and I are in. They're in gaming and memes, she says. These are just people who send memes to each other. They're not affiliated with a political party. Do you see how hard they are working to try to cover for the liberal left? While on the other hand, with very little evidence or sometimes no evidence at all, they will try to connect somebody who did something violent or wrong with the right, if they can do it immediately. This person's a white supremacist. They're a right-wing fascist. Zero evidence they'll do this. We have so much evidence that this individual is a left-wing liberal, somebody who has been radicalized by these ideologies, and they just cover for them. It becomes so clear that our media in the United States of America is just an arm of the Democrat Party. To continue solidifying this case, Check out this clip of MSNBC.
This morning about that shooting at an ICE field office in Dallas. FBI Director Kash Patel just posted on X that investigators are learning new information about the suspect's internet history and what was downloaded on his devices. Let's get right to MSNBC national correspondent Rosa Flores and MSNBC investigative correspondent Mark Santia. What more are we learning, Mark, from the FBI director?
The director put out a lot. This has been a nonstop investigation. Basically, Kash Patel is saying the suspect downloaded a document titled, quote, Dallas County Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management that contained a list of DHS facilities. The suspect also conducted multiple searches, according to Patel, of ballistics and, quote, Charlie Kirk shot video between September 23rd, September 24th. Back in August, the suspect searched apps that tracked the presence of ICE agents, and one of the handwritten notes recovered in the investigation said, quote, hopefully this will give ICE agents real terror to think, is there a sniper with AP rounds on that roof? Patel also said they have evidence to this point that indicates a high degree of pre-attack planning. They believe the suspect spent much time trying to figure this out. And they're still, we talked to officials this morning, the investigation on it continues at this point.
And there's new information about the shooting itself, right?
Absolutely. ICE officials said that when the barrage of bullets opened up in that Sally Port, that ICE officials, ICE officers, they were able to grab detainees. There were 8 to 10 inside the van. They were able to pull some to safety. Obviously, 3 people were shot. 1 passed away. But that is some of the new information we're learning today. So, again, this investigation is really evolving today.
And, Rosa, the shooter's brother is speaking out. What's he saying?
You know, he's giving us a sense of his brother, how he grew up. He said that they grew up about 30 miles from Dallas in Allen, Texas, that he was a Boy Scout, and he described him as, quote, unique. And he said that he wasn't very interested in politics, either the right side or the left, or in any which way, really, which is interesting considering the details that the FBI has already released regarding this case. They also said, the brother also said that he was not interested in ICE, didn't have strong feelings against ICE. Again, kind of odd, Anna. And he said that even though his brother was not a marksman, that he did know how to use the rifle that their parents had. Unclear if that's the weapon that was used in this case. And he said that the last time that he saw his brother was 2 weeks ago, and that nothing seemed odd. And one other thing to point out is that according to public records, he was a registered independent in Oklahoma, and that he voted in November.
And they did the same thing for the individual that shot and killed Charlie Kirk. When the messages came out between him and his transgendered partner, they were like, wow, amazing. Look how loving his messages are. And once again, we have the data coming in on this guy, someone who pre-planned this for months, somebody who said, I want to put fear and terror into ICE agents, that they're afraid that there's going to be a shooter up on the roofs, that this person's clearly claiming that they're against ICE. They're looking up the death of Charlie Kirk. And then this lady comes on and says, well, the brother came out and he just said, well, he's just a unique individual. They grew up 30 minutes out of Dallas, and this person was a Boy Scout and not politically motivated. We are not calling out evil for what it is. Right now, we have a big problem on the left in the United States of America, on the liberal end. There is a serious, ongoing, connected issue, and they don't want to highlight it because they're trying to hide it, because our media is not neutral. They are not a real source of news and information. They are bought out, and they are propaganda for the left wing and for the liberals and for the Democrat Party, and it's so blatantly obvious they don't even care. They have the evidence in front of them. They have literal words. I mean, this guy could have written a manifesto to the left. He could have written a love story to liberals, and they would still be like, yeah, but you know, he's just a meme person. You know, this is these new people. We don't know. They're not a part of political parties. Could you imagine if this person had written other things, and this is what I'm afraid, I have fear that's going to happen, is that they're going to start to set up these violent acts in the future, and they're going to try to do a false flag where they set the social media up or they set the cartridge up to make it look like the individuals on the right, when in fact they're not, because no individual on the right is getting on rooftops and shooting people. Certainly not ICE agents or people like Charlie Kirk or the president of the United States. But my fear is in the future that they're going to do that, where they're going to set it up to make it look like it's the right wing. And you know what the media is going to do? They're going to run with it. They're not going to investigate it to try to figure out if this is real or a false flag. They're just going to say, see this? See what's happening? But right now, it's so obvious that this person has been brainwashed by the liberal left, and they cover. What do you all think? Leave your comments below.